My coworker sent an email to the entire department with the subject line, "Why she doesn't deserve the bonus." It listed every mistake I'd made, exaggerated, and laced with passive-aggressive lines like, "Some people just aren't built for leadership." She didn't know I'd been blind CC'd on her complaints for months, and that I'd just forwarded them to our new director, who replied, "I've always believed in staying quiet and doing the work. Not because I'm weak, but because I've seen how quickly workplaces turn into battlefields when people let their egos run things." I didn't want any part of that. I came from a family where silence was survival, and you learned early on to pick your battles. So, when I got promoted to a leadership role after 6 years of grinding it out, I kept my head down and focused. The first 6 months were hard. I wasn't a natural leader. I had to learn how to delegate, how to navigate office politics, and how to be accountable for people other than myself. It didn't come easily. I made mistakes, missed some deadlines, took on too much. But I learned and I got better. Then Jana joined. She came in flashy, charismatic, confident, and loud. People noticed her immediately. It was like she'd already decided she was in charge of the room before she even knew anyone's names. I don't think she ever said anything directly cruel to me, but there was always a tone, patronizing, a little smug, like she was waiting for me to screw up. At first, I ignored it. I thought maybe I was reading into things, but slowly, things started piling up. Like the time I told her in confidence that I was struggling with the back-end timelines on a project. I needed help prioritizing resources. The very next day, in a group meeting, she casually brought it up and offered a new framework we could all use. One that made it sound like she was stepping in to clean up someone else's mess. People looked at me. I smiled and nodded. I didn't say a word. Then, about 2 months in, I saw the first email. It was late at night. I was at home with my laptop open, half watching something on TV while cleaning out old threads. I saw my name in the CC field of a forwarded message chain. The subject line was harmless, something about Q3 reports. But as I scrolled, I realized what I was reading. It was Jana, writing to our old director. About me. She'd written a full-page email dissecting my management style. She claimed I didn't understand cross-functional dynamics, that I created confusion for the team, that morale was down because of me. It wasn't just critical, it was personal. She said I was reactive, that I let emotions drive decision-making. She didn't use insults, but it was worse than that. Her tone was clinical, like I was a problem to be diagnosed. And then that line at the end, "Just thought you'd want to know why morale is slipping," like she was doing him a favor. That email sat in my chest like a stone. I didn't reply. I didn't confront her. I created a folder and quietly dragged it in there. I called it Jana. Over the next 7 months, more emails found their way into that folder. Some were forwarded by others who thought I should see what she was saying. Others were CC'd to me accidentally, or maybe intentionally, like she wanted me to know she was watching. Each one was the same flavor. Polite on the surface, but cold and sharp underneath. She painted me as unstable, incompetent, weak. She never gave feedback to my face. She never spoke to me directly about her concerns. Always in writing. Always behind my back. What Jana didn't know was that leadership was changing. Our old director, who had always been kind to her, maybe a little too trusting, was transitioning out. A new guy was coming in from corporate. His name was Nolan, and he didn't play games. A month after Nolan took over, he pulled me aside. Said he'd noticed some strange tone shifts in internal communications and wanted me to let him know if anything stood out. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I started sending him the emails. Quietly. One every few weeks. I never editorialized. I just forwarded what I had. By the time bonuses were announced, I'd sent him over a dozen. Each one more aggressive than the last. Then the bonuses came out. Mine was modest but solid. Recognition, basically. I didn't brag. I didn't celebrate loudly. I thanked Nolan and kept moving. Jana got nothing. 3 days later, the email came. Subject: why she doesn't deserve the bonus. I sat frozen as I read it. She had copied the entire department. All the leads. the interns, even people who had nothing to do with our teams. In it, she laid out a year's worth of criticisms, framed to sound objective but laced with venom. She exaggerated minor mistakes into catastrophic failures. She listed names of projects I hadn't even touched in months. She quoted Slack messages out of context. She even attached a spreadsheet she claimed showed wasted hours due to my lack of structure. But the final paragraph was the real gut punch. Some people just aren't built for leadership, and we all pay the price. I stared at the screen. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I opened my folder, zipped every file, attached the archive, and forwarded it to Nolan with no subject, no comment. 10 minutes later, I got his reply, "I'll take it from here." She had no idea what she'd just done. The next morning at work felt like walking into a bomb site. People weren't talking, they were whispering. I could feel the air change when I stepped into the building, like something thick and heavy had settled over everyone. A few of my team members wouldn't meet my eyes. A couple gave me these awkward smiles, like they didn't know what to say. It was obvious everyone had read the email. Jana wasn't at her desk. Her computer was on, coffee cup half full, but no sign of her. Around 10 a.m., I got a calendar invite from Nolan. One-on-one. No location. Just a Zoom link. When I logged in, he was already there. Calm. Unbothered. He didn't waste time. He just said, "Thanks for what you sent. I've looped in HR." That's when I found out the folder I'd been keeping wasn't just about me. Apparently, over the past year, Jana had done this before to others. One woman in product had transferred teams after being quietly pushed out. A junior engineer left with no notice after being coached by Jana for 6 weeks. Both had left quietly. No formal complaints. Just burnout and silence. HR hadn't connected the dots until now. My folder filled in the gaps. Later that day, I saw 2 people from HR and someone from legal walk into a glass meeting room. Jana followed them in 5 minutes later. She didn't look scared. She looked angry, like she'd been inconvenienced. She didn't come back to her desk after that. But she wasn't fired, not yet. That's the thing most people don't realize. These things take time. While the investigation was happening, they moved her to independent review. She was locked out of internal comms. No meetings, no Slack, technically still employed, but suspended from projects. She fought it. I could tell. She posted vague things on LinkedIn about being silenced, about standing up to broken systems. Her page went from professional to personal overnight. But inside the company, the mood shifted. People started talking, quietly but truthfully. Others came forward. One woman shared that Jana had cornered her in a bathroom and told her not to trust me with sensitive work. Someone else said Jana rewrote a shared doc after hours to make it look like I'd missed something. The pieces were coming together. Meanwhile, I was still showing up, doing the work, leading my team, quietly untangling the mess Jana had left behind. But the part that really stuck with me was this. Even with all that evidence, even after what she did, some people still defended her. She's just intense. She pushes people. She didn't mean for the email to come off that way. I heard it all. Some of the people I thought were friends stayed quiet. Some I barely knew backed me up without hesitation. It changed how I saw everyone. And then there was my team. One of them, Dan, a junior analyst, knocked on my door a few days later. Said, quietly, "I didn't know what was going on. I just want you to know I'm here." That almost broke me more than the email did, because for months, I'd let myself believe I was alone, that staying quiet was the right thing, that Jana would hang herself with her own rope. And in some ways, she had. But the fallout wasn't clean. Nolan told me flat out, "We'll handle this, but it won't be immediate. If you need time off, take it." I didn't. I stayed. I needed to see it through. What I didn't expect was what Jana did next. 3 weeks into her suspension, she showed up at the building, walked in like she still worked there. Security didn't stop her. No one knew what to do. She went floor to floor, talking to people, saying she was being forced out, that this was a witch hunt. I wasn't even in the office that day, but by the time I came in the next morning, the rumor mill had exploded again. Some people believed her, said I'd weaponized HR, that I was threatened by strong women. She'd flipped the narrative, and I knew then, if she went down, she'd try to take me with her. I wasn't done collecting yet. The day after Jana came back into the building uninvited, security protocols were updated. Keycard access was restricted, and HR sent out a vague, company-wide email about maintaining professional boundaries and respecting the workplace environment during active investigations. No names, but everyone knew. I thought it was over, but it wasn't. A week later, a former coworker messaged me privately on LinkedIn. I hadn't spoken to her in over a year, Callie, from marketing. We used to chat occasionally when we both worked on the same product launch. Her message was short. Hey, just wanted you to know Jana reached out. Sent me a long message asking for support. Something about your leadership being unsafe. Thought you'd want to see it. She attached screenshots. Jana had been contacting former employees, people no longer at the company, people she thought she could use to build a story. She was trying to create the illusion of a pattern. In her message to Callie, she said things like, "You remember how chaotic it was when she took over, right? They're gaslighting me now, but others saw it too." Callie told her no, then blocked her. But it shook me. I forwarded the screenshots to Nolan. He didn't reply that day. The next morning, I had a check-in with HR and legal. They asked me to walk through everything from the beginning, dates, screenshots, tone, timeline. I was in that conference room for almost 2 hours. That's when they told me the twist. Jana had filed a formal complaint against me. She claimed I'd created a hostile work environment, that I'd blackballed her from projects, that I had weaponized my position and used private conversations to discredit a coworker. She said the email she sent, the one to the entire department, wasn't an attack. It was transparency. She framed it as whistleblowing. And the worst part? They had to investigate me, too. It was policy. So, suddenly, I wasn't just a witness. I was under review. While the investigation played out, I had to limit interactions with my team. I couldn't lead meetings alone. I wasn't allowed to directly supervise the 2 analysts who'd spoken up in my defense. I felt humiliated, like I'd been shoved into a glass box while Jana set fire to the floor around me. But what she didn't realize was that I wasn't the only one with receipts. One of the interns, Ravi, came forward. Quiet kid, smart, observant, said he had something to share, but only with legal. He'd saved Slack messages, not just from team channels, but DMs Jana had sent him when she was venting. He showed them one where she wrote, "I'm going to make her crack. She doesn't belong in this role. Just watch." Another one, "If I can't get promoted, she's not staying in that seat either." There were others, screenshots, audio clips from meetings, even a recorded phone call. Ravi had backed everything up after seeing her tear apart someone else last year, and now he handed it over. I hadn't known. I never asked. He did it on his own. It changed everything. HR shifted tone immediately. Legal sent a notice to Jana about breach of conduct. Her access was revoked, this time for good. Her formal complaint against me? Dismissed as retaliatory. But then one final twist. 2 weeks later, an anonymous blog post showed up online. Not viral, but close. Shared on LinkedIn, Twitter. Titled, "When Women Destroy Each Other, a Case of Corporate Cannibalism." The post told a one-sided story about a woman pushed out of her job by a cold, manipulative female manager, about an internal smear campaign. It never used our names, never mentioned the company, but it was clear enough to anyone who worked there. People began guessing. Gossip started again. HR had to send a statement to leadership warning against outside commentary related to internal matters. But the damage was done. My name was never in it, but I felt exposed all over again. It didn't matter that Jana had lied. It didn't matter that I'd stayed quiet, that I'd documented everything, that I had proof. She was still out there, still spinning her version. And somehow, even in disgrace, she was still trying to rewrite the ending. But I had one final thing left, something she didn't know I'd found. I was done staying quiet. 2 days after the blog post went live, Nolan called me into his office. I thought maybe they were going to ask me to lay low again, or worse, apologize for something I didn't do just to smooth things over. But that wasn't what happened. He closed the door behind me and handed me a printed document, a hard copy of a contract. It was a promotion, a real one, not just a title, not just extra work with no recognition. Director level, salary increase, full control of the department Jana tried to burn down. He said, "We should have moved sooner. You handled this with more grace than most of us would have." I didn't say anything for a long time. I just stared at the paper in front of me, and then I signed it. That was the quiet part of my revenge, but not the end, because I still had one more piece, something she never realized I'd seen. While collecting emails for the folder, I'd come across a thread between Jana and a freelance vendor, one we'd used a few times for UX testing. In it, she'd sent over internal documents, early access prototypes, competitor strategy decks, unapproved branding materials, all under her own name, all against policy. I didn't even realize what I had at first, but after the blog post went up, I went back through everything. I cross-referenced emails, timestamps, attachments, matched them to NDA terms. One file she shared was still watermarked as confidential and not to be distributed. It was enough to qualify as a data breach. I didn't send it to HR. I sent it to legal. 1 week later, Jana received a formal cease and desist. The company launched a third-party audit. They notified the freelance vendor that they'd been part of an unauthorized disclosure. Their contract was terminated immediately. Then came the civil action notice. She was being sued. Jana tried to fight back online. She posted vague, "I'm being silenced" rants, claimed corporate bullying. But this time, nobody backed her, because her name was now on a public docket, and my company wasn't playing around. She went dark after that. No more posts. No more whispers. I stayed, promoted, respected. I rebuilt the team from the inside out. We brought back one of the junior engineers she'd driven out. I gave Ravi, the intern who saved those messages, a full-time role. He's on the leadership track now. And me? I didn't celebrate publicly. I didn't brag. But I did one thing. On my 1-year anniversary in the new role, I sent an email to the department. Just a quiet thank you to the team. No drama. No dig. But I blind CC'd one person. Jana. Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't shouting. It's letting them watch you thrive from the outside, knowing they tried everything to stop it and failed. I never heard from her again. But I know she read it. And that's enough.